charge for us to host. He's the second member of the group, and normally the community facing or front ending is done by Lavanya and myself, but at behind the scenes, there's a lot of work and effort that Swapnil puts. He's a software professional interested in reading, writing, and publishing. On the writing part, he is more inclined towards nonfiction. So far, he has published 10 books in various genres and has been Hydro member since our inception. So, the book we are going to launch today is which is The Monsoon Mischief, is published by Eka Publishers, and that's owned by Swapnil. So, with that brief introduction, of course, there's a lot to say about Swapnil, but with that brief introduction, I hand it over to Swapnil to take over the uh, next part of proceedings. Swapnil, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mehboob sir. You're always an inspiration to me. Dr. Manu sir, it was a fantastic talk. I really enjoyed. It was very interesting, very informative, and a couple of quotes that you mentioned. Right, literature is not bonded by any region or country or language. So well said. So good evening, friends. First of all, I would like to thank you for taking out time on a Sunday evening and decide to join us for this book launch. I'm going to share my screen. Let me. I think I am sharing. Okay. Yep. It should be on your screen. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we can.
Perfect. So yeah. So this is a book launch of Monsoon Mischief, written by our Hydra member, Mr. Hari. Um, so um, you can see the details, right? So we have cover designed by Joy, illustration by Saju, and editor is Smriti. Okay, so first of all, congratulations, Hari sir, for your debut novel.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the book will be available on various platforms. We're trying to go for audio book as well, ebook, audio book, and physical available from tomorrow onwards. So yeah, so again, a very big thank you to Mehboob sir and to all the Hydra member, for giving us this platform to launch this book. A brief introduction about Hari sir. So Hari sir is a turned writer hailing from Kozhikode, Kerala, and he has traveled extensively across India during his military days. He writes short stories and poems in English and Malayalam. His military memoirs regularly appear in prominent newspapers like Hindu, the Deccan Herald, and the New Indian Express. Apart from the cantonment stories, his interests are in nature and environment themes. Okay, so now about the book. Okay, as I said, right, it's a debut novel by Hari sir, and the book is, of course, will be available from tomorrow. So it's the Monsoon Mischief, in few words, is a book which has the capability of transporting you to a place and time that seems innocent and promises to elevate your life. And how does it achieve that? We get to see the slow evolution of a place, society, and people through the life of Surya, the main protagonist guy, who many times takes the shape of the backdrop of the story. Surya is stuck in an intoxicating, mild life romantic relationship. Still in his late 30s, he leaves the Air Force with high hopes of settling down in his remote, rainy Malabar village. A disaster awaits him. Of course, to know about the disaster and the more about the story, you have to read the book. But there are a couple of quotes I liked when I read the book. One of the quote, sir says that working hard alone does not guarantee success in life, and you do need the lady luck to coyly smile on you. And the second one, it says that, and this I found it very, very interesting. We don't practice quackery, but just disseminate and popularize the knowledge gifted to us by our forefathers. So with that, we come to our next topic. We'll have a short Q&A session with the author to conduct the Q&A. And we'll also have passage reading by Hari sir and Sirisha and Gautam. Okay. So it's over to you, Smriti.
Thank you, Swapnil. Hello and welcome, everyone. A special welcome to Hari sir. Now, before we start, I would request those people who are who are not asking questions and not participating, to keep yourself on mute, so that there's less disturbance and we can hear each other properly. All right. Having said that, let's begin. I edited the book for Hari sir, and some of my key takeaways from the book was, when you read through, the book is very subtle. It flows very well. You feel a lot of emotions from these books, but they're not overtly thrusted on you. So it doesn't say, "Go get sad now." Go. This is where this is happy. This is where you can be happy, right? Those feelings are very, very subtle, and you feel them, and you realize you're feeling them very slowly, and the transitions are very subtle. You realize what's going in the book, but you don't feel overwhelmed with all that is going in it, unless when you put down the book. Once you put down the book, um, yeah, so once you put down the book, that's when you realize that these were the feelings that you felt, you expressed, and you go back to the book to read some of the parts of the book, and it feels magical. uh, One of my first questions, Hari sir, to you would be, why this book? What was the inspiration behind writing this book?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. First of all, my sincere thanks to Hydro members. Before coming into your question, its core members and Mehboob sir for giving me this opportunity and also admitting me as a Hydro member. It's always a great feeling to be surrounded by books, book lovers, readers, and writers. Now, coming into your question, when I came back from military, I was a founding member of Eagles, and an ex-serviceman NGO. My work with the organization helped me to realize how difficult it was for the homecoming soldiers after the military days to adjust to the civilian way of life again. It's a universal problem, but in Kerala, with its so-called hyper-political activism, Middle East money, liberal views, complicates things for a returning soldier. He often feels doubts if he's a misfit in the society. Second thing that inspired me to write Monsoon Mischief was the sudden environmental degradation happening in the state. You know, Kerala, sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea, have extremely delicate ecosystem. I have personally witnessed the death of one of the largest river in Kerala, Nila, or Bharatapura, we call it, to sand mining. The railway track runs along the river bank, and whenever I passed through, I saw hundreds of trucks on the riverbed indulging in unscrupulous sand mining. Now the river is almost dead. And if you ask me, these are the two specific things that has inspired to write this. I can't hear you, sorry.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. So I was asking, from the shift from being a soldier to a writer, when did you think you wanted to be a writer? When did you have that realization?
Actually, it was a gradual evolution. Then suddenly realizing and deciding to write at a particular stage. I used to write small poems when I was in my teens. I was always a good reader. I read a lot during my military days, but wrote little. My writing is a natural extension of my reading, I believe. I seriously thought of writing when the newspapers started publishing my articles for the middle columns.
All right, sir. So I'm guessing you said you already were writing for newspapers. So this might be your first published book. but this doesn't seem to be your first story, is it?
No, not at all. This is my first published book, in fact. But I
Okay.
have been writing for last couple of years, not couple of years, almost 3 years now, and I have almost 50 articles in newspapers, published articles. As far as
And
stories, that includes memoirs. I mean, articles on relationship, environment, etc.
all right. So,
Thank
is
you,
there a
thank you.
central theme to your stories?
I couldn't hear you.
So, I was asking, is there any central theme to all your stories that you write?
Yeah, most of them are military memoirs.
Okay.
And most of them are military. And I write, as Swapnilji said in the introduction, I write about environment. Environment is a pet subject for me. And relationship, I write on relationship.
All right, sir. So, can we have a small reading, like story reading from you, a passage reading?
Oh, sure, sure.
Thank you, sir.
It's easy to tell a story and put a baby to sleep, but I think it would be a challenge to keep everyone awake while reading out a passage from my storybook. Even though it will be a challenge, and especially when it's online, because I can't see your gestures, your facial gestures. I can't see. I'll just give you a piece of introduction.
Sir.
In fact, I'm going to take you on a boat ride through the South Kerala's famous backwaters. Surya, the protagonist, is in a blooming midlife romantic relationship with Varsha. Varsha is a beautiful young lady from Delhi, a half Malayali. She is a daughter of a Malayali military nurse and a North Indian fighter pilot. She is on a long cherished visit to her mother's small ancestral house located on a small island in the middle of Ashtamudi Lake. She has a hidden agenda too, that is to meet Surya, who had already moved to Kerala. Hidden because the relationship is still in a fluid state, and she wants to promise much and surrender little, to paraphrase Paulo Coelho. She just wants to make it appear a purely coincidental meeting. So let me read now. Sitting on the edge of the lake, she thought about the endless stretch of water just a foot below and wondered why the water did not come up and flood the island, even during heavy rains. She wondered how in those days her mother and her large family managed in that small house with tiny rooms. Betty and Amaya, the children of her cousin, remained active all through the day and took good care of her. They distributed chocolates she brought from Delhi to the neighbors. They absented themselves from the school to give her company. They took her in a small boat to the nearby church on the other side of the island, making a half circle around it to meet the English-speaking father in the Catholic Church. Varsha did not know swimming, and she was paranoid by the thought of venturing into the watery expanse in a small boat with the children. But Betty, the teenage elder girl, was able to somehow fully convince her to not worry. Betty was confident and well versed in the boat channels. She rowed the little boat, like an expert rower, and followed the shallow waters, keeping themselves away from the channels, which where large fishing vessels and motorized passenger boats sailed. When those large boats passed by, V-shaped waves widened to hit them and shook the little Vanchi. But like an experienced mariner, the girl maneuvered and steadied it. She asked Varsha not to move and to hold the edge of the boat tightly and made the boat slow down a bit. Betty did not stop it completely because she said the little boat needs a little forward momentum to hold the course when the waves hit. From the boat, the church on the shore looked beautiful, with its large and high whitewashed walls and tile roof, surrounded by tall swinging coconut trees in the cool afternoon breeze. The small entry gate of the church opened, opened towards the backwaters. The boat parked at the cement steps that descended till the water level. Varsha carefully stepped out of the shaky little wanchi, and the children took her around the large church shining in the midday sun. The clean-shaven, middle-aged father with graying, thick side locks was resting in his room across the corridor from the prayer hall. He was probably on a midday nap, but he looked pleasantly surprised, certainly not disturbed by the visitors. One of them, a stranger, an urbanized woman, not from his parish. The children urged Varsha to speak to the father in English, but she continued in her bitten pieces of Malayalam. Achan, the father, gave them pieces of cake and spoke about the preparation for the upcoming Christmas celebration. He asked why the father is not visiting the church these days and urged the children to actively participate in carol rehearsal and invited Varsha to join them for this year's Christmas. I had heard about your mother. Priesthood develops inside us. It should not be enforced. He frowned, perhaps remembering the ordeal her mother had to undergo and apologizing for the church. She was wronged, and rightly she revolted. Do you go to church? Varsha grinned, and he understood the meaning. Regular prayers help to remove sin from our hearts. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry. On their way back, Betty stopped the boat and got into the water after lifting her frock to thigh high. Varsha was astonished to know that such shallow areas existed in the middle of a massive lake, and also by the girl's mastery over the lake floor topography. Thank you.
Sir,
I
that
hope
was really
you
nice.
enjoyed the boat ride. I hope you enjoy the boat ride.
We did. And the first image that comes to my mind when we talk about boat ride is definitely Kerala. And all the boat rides on its multiple rivers is just so beautiful. And the idea of the kids riding her on the boat ride, it just shows how comfortable the people there are with their boats. Um, it can only happen in Kerala. It was a beautiful scenery, sir.
Thank you.
So you write so many books, and I'm guessing you're planning to write more books in the future. What did you want your readers to take away or think about your writing, or you as a writer itself?
First of all, this military fiction is not only the valor stories from forward or frontier areas.
Mm.
The cantonment stories and the billet stories, which I don't think it is explored enough in our literature. And I plan to tell these stories from cantonments, the catch-22 situations, the worries the worries and troubles, the anxieties that a soldier faces. Not of a typical soldier means with his bone-chilling bravery. This is what I plan to write about.
Okay, sir. Um, so one of the things that I felt when I was reading the book was we all have so much respect for the men in military. We sometimes forget that they may seem brave on the front, but they have some misgivings, and their adjusting to civilian life might also seem difficult. That we sometimes forget. So yeah, it's a good thing that you're trying to bring that out of your books. Do you think you have achieved that from this book as well?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so.
The other question I wanted to ask was, you gave us a glimpse of the Varsha's home and how her where her family lives in Kerala. The other scenery and the most important one that I think in the book you have mentioned is Surya's hometown. Right. I hope I'm pronouncing this as you wanted it to be. The village Aruvikulam.
Aruvikulam,
Aru-
Aruvikulam, Aruvikulam.
Aruvikulam.
Yeah, exactly.
So the description is so magical. It's really kind of surprising that you would come up with this as an with just yours without an inspiration. Do you think? I just wanted to know: is there a place in your mind which where the scenery of this place has been inspired from?
Certainly, Aruvikulam is a fictional village. In a larger sense, Aruvikulam represents the ecologically sensitive Kerala itself, Kerala state. I spent my childhood in a rainy, hilly village in Malabar. Certainly, I carry some of its memories. Some of the surrealistic images you see at Aruvikulam did once existed 30, 40 years ago. But I'm afraid now you can only read books like Monsoon Mischief or watch old black and white films to visit such places. Last 30 years has transformed Kerala beyond recognition. The pace of what we call development was so high that it has completely transformed. I hope you got it. Could you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir, we could hear you clearly. Rainy, hilly. I think that's one of
Recording has stopped.
that is one of the few words that would definitely come to our mind when we think of Kerala. I would now like to invite Sirisha to read another passage from the book. Sirisha, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, I'm Purisha, one of the core members of
All
Hydra.
right, it's up to you.
Yeah, sure. So I am reading a
Recording is on.
glimpse of from the book. Okay, so it goes like this. Srinagar city was then considered fully safe for military families to stay in rented accommodations. There was a shortage of family quarters inside the base, and the residents of the locality were also happy to generate some extra income by renting out a part of their dwelling place. Soldiers were clean and hassle free tenants, and most of the houses in the area had special rental suites with moderate amenities. Aditya was lodged in a house jointly owned by 3 Kashmiri sisters. The sisters and their families lived together on the opposite side of the large house. On that eventful day, he had just arrived from Kerala after dropping his pregnant wife back home. The country was preparing to celebrate Republic Day. Around midnight, he heard a knock on his door. When he opened the door, he saw the husband of one of the sisters, a school teacher, waiting outside draped in woolens. आज रात में something will happen. Militant city में पहुंच गया. Something will happen tonight. The militants have already reached the city. They could strike any time, and if you don't want to die, leave now. The teacher said flatly, in a mix of Hindi, Urdu, and English, and left immediately. Aditya was dumbstruck, and he suddenly felt he has become a total helpless stranger in the house. Was it the same house he bought his new wife in a few months ago? And the sisters then welcomed her with milk, dry nuts, and freshly cut apples. The children of the house saluted him whenever they saw him in uniform. The sisters exchanged niceties, asking, "Bhaiya, theek ho?" Then why this sudden transformation? Why the teacher suddenly treats him like a pariah? Why did he not wait for his reply? Why no help offered to contact the Air Force station? No answers. Then he started hearing strange announcements from the mosque in the locality. Strange midnight announcements. Language not clear, Kashmiri, or Urdu. Difficult to understand the proclamations. But it was clear everything was not well. Troubles were brewing. Aditya started sweating even in that extreme cold. He knew the sisters had a telephone connection. Once they had given him the number for his wife to contact in case of emergency. But he has never used it. And now he feared to knock their door. After all, it was slammed in his face just a few minutes back. Utter defenselessness could sometimes generate grittiness. He sensed sweat slowly evaporating and his mind calming a bit. He drank a glass of hot water from the flask and pulled the razai over his head. Hardly had he closed his eyes than he started hearing gunshots, a few rounds at first, and then again another burst from the direction of Rawalpura locality just a mile away. He jumped out of bed, opened the window, which had only glass panes and no grills. He saw yellow street lights freezing in the heavy stillness. Then he opened the door, locked it from outside, and then jumped inside the room through the window and shut it again. He folded the bed and kept it aside, leaving the cot empty. He opened the large wardrobe fixed on the wall and slipped inside. He rested his back on the wall, covering himself with the razai, instantly experiencing inexplicable warmth and comfort. The next morning, he was picked up by armed guards in a Shaktiman truck sent from the Air Force station. A short while ago, unarmed airmen waiting at a pickup point in the city were fired upon. Some were mounted and others grievously injured, radically changing the life in the valley at one stroke. Soon, Surya heard Aditya narrating the Srinagar incidents a few times over, the parties and gatherings, especially when he drinks. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we described one situation. There's another situation in the book which makes me wonder: are you psychic, sir?
No, not at all.
Not to give any spoilers, there is an event in the book that is very similar to something that happened just this year. Would you talk about that, sir?
Hello. Hello. Could you repeat the question?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yeah. So I was saying. I was saying. Am I audible to you? All right. So I was saying that I don't want to give the spoilers out myself, but there's an event in this book which you describe, which is very, very similar to something that happened recently.
I'm sure the unfortunate.
So, would you talk about that one?
I'm sure the unfortunate incident you are referring is the recent aircraft crash at Calicut International Airport. Yes, there is a similar airline accident taking place in the novel. An aircraft, while landing, overshooting the tabletop runway and falling into a gorge. In fact, at the very same airport. But such things do happen in literature. They say even the coronavirus outbreak was predicted in many books. Having said that, I was disturbed and distraught when I heard about the accident. I could not sleep that night. Early next morning, I rang up my friend and told him these things. I sent a message to Swapnilji so that I get some relief. I think a writer who observes things sees such possibilities, and things are just happening.
Yes, it was a very sad incident, and I understand.
Hello.
So there is one thing that you can take comfort in, sir, with regard to this, that your writing it was just coincidental. So there was maybe these things are all they're already planned. So some of us just get this sense, or it comes out, we do not know, but I think maybe it was God's intention for you to talk about it in this book.
Such things do happen. As I said, such things. Even I have read many things. It's not actually prediction. It is just an observation of the possibility or probability.
Yes. Uh, from a sad incident to something more serious. We see that in this book we have the place Aruvikulum gets modernized twice, and as you mentioned that Kerala is also changing, rapidly. The two instances that you mentioned in the book is one, the building of the bridge, basically helps the people who are in that area, and the other is once the accident happens and the new proposed airport, which kind of tries to displace the people of this place. Obviously I understand it's for the greater good, but looking at these changes, the modernization that's happening in Kerala, uh, how do you feel about these changes that's happening in the state? uh,
Oh, that is certainly.
I mean, give.
Yeah, I can get it. That is certainly a good question, Smriti ji. The first one, the bridge, is the need, and the second one is the greed. I hope you understand what I mean. Do you know our little state has 4 international airports now? Then I would actually remind you these about the bridge. It was just the beginning of the modernization, but when it comes to the airport, the 4 airports in a small state like ours. I don't think it is a sustainable development. I have traveled and seen how hills got chopped off to construct the latest one that at Kannur in North Kerala. It's of course happening everywhere, not only in Kerala. So, and I think now the virus would force us to make a course correction.
Okay, okay, sir. We do hope that we learn from, even if it's a fictional stories, we do learn from these, and we try to keep modernization not not at the expense of the lives of people.
Exactly.
The last book that I have, the last question that I have for you is, at the end of this book, after reading this book, what do you expect your readers to feel?
There are quite few things which I hope the readers would keep in mind while they are reading. I hope the readers would not miss the omnipresence of rains and the paradoxes that keep happening and plays an important part in the love life of Surya and Varsha. I would be happy if they are able to appreciate the unpredictability and dilemma in a soldier's life. Thank you.
I'm sure people will be able to do that. It's very well written. Thank you, sir. With this, I invite Gautam to read another passage. While Gautam is reading another passage, if somebody has a question you'd like to ask, you can just click on the hand icon on the chat, or you can just type a message so we can ask your questions. Yeah, over to you, Gautam. Gautam, are you there?
Gautam, please unmute your mic.
Gautam, over to you now.
Okay, so are you? I'm talking to Gautam. Actually, he has some connectivity issues.
Okay. He's on unmute. He's on unmute now. Gautam, say something so that we can hear. Yeah, we can see you, Gautam, now. Gautam, you're still on mute.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes, but can you increase your volume a bit?
As Gautam gets
As
started,
Gautam gets started,
Gautam is from
Gautam
Kerala,
is from
moved to
Kerala.
Hyderabad the last 10 years.
The last 10 years.
His parents home
His
Kerala
parents
has
home Kerala has
20,000 books,
20,000
what I heard.
what I heard.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I could hear you. The voice is a bit.
Okay, can
You're on mute again, Gautam.
yeah, okay. Now
Much better, much better. Yeah, I can continue.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. So first thing, congratulations, sir, for releasing your first debut novel. And
Thank you. Thank you.
so I'll be reading. Yeah. So I'll be reading one passage from your book, and it goes like this. He grew up at Lovedale, an orphanage cum boarding school in Tamil Nadu run by missionaries. The board outside announced it a boarding school, but for all practical purposes, it was an orphanage. Most of the children were half orphans who had lost either of a parent or deprived of love and care at home. Whenever her circus company toured the south, Kamal's mother took the time to visit him. He craved for her presence, but at the same time, he dreaded the sight of the big circus tent. One summer morning, she came to Lovedale and took him away to Trichy. That was going to be a momentous journey. He was then studying in the fourth grade. Her circus company was camped near Trichy town. They traveled by bus.
Hello.
Gautam?
Looks feels poor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we
Yes,
can.
Gautam.
No.
Okay. So I'll just continue. She said she had Kalaseri and they would build a house there. She pulled him near and placed his head on her lap. and gently ran her fingers through his hair. He wished that journey would never end, that touch would continue forever, that mother's stroke of solace he missed all along. He wanted to tell her many things, how terribly he missed her, how miserably he failed every time he tried to replace her with the nuns who took care of him, how he celebrated the rich kids' birthdays when they came to Lovedale with their parents to share their joy with the inmates, how badly he himself wanted to become a birthday boy and cut cakes. He wanted to ask her why he was forced to crop his hair every month, how terribly darkness scares him and loneliness chokes him. But when he looked up,
We lost him again.
am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. He stayed with her for 2 days and she skipped the shows and absented herself from performing. The female tent was large and the artists had their bed arranged in a straight line on the red, thick carpet. Their colorful clothing and gowns carelessly hung on the tent wall. The whole area was covered with a wild smell of animals and uneasy roars of bees echoing all through the night. He remembers her colleagues in colorful dresses consoling her for some reason unknown to him. The second night, he woke up and saw a man with a big mustache shouting at her. She was crying, and when she saw Kamal awake, she came running and embraced him, sobbing uncontrollably. Her tears soaked his cheek. The next day, she took him back to Lovedale. She said she would come again after quitting the circus, pick him up, and go home, and she would never leave.
Hello.
We lost Gautam's audio again.
He's back now. Gautam, you
Okay.
might want to
Okay.
disconnect your video. Maybe video is taking some bandwidth. So if you disconnect
Yeah.
video,
Yeah.
the audio would be better. Right?
Okay, I will try that.
Okay.
She said she would come again after quitting the circus, pick him up and go home, and she would never leave him again. She cried again and kissed his forehead when she left. After a few days, the nuns from the hostel took him, and the hostel went to Trichy.
Not audible.
I think Gautam's audio is frequently disconnecting.
Yeah.
So, Swapnil, you want to finish the passage yourself?
Sure, sir. I'll or I'll okay. I'll take it. Okay. So I'll just begin. He stayed with her for 2 days and she skipped the shows and absented herself from performing. The female tent was large and the artists had their bed arranged in a straight line on the red, thick carpet. The colorful clothing and gowns carelessly hung on the tent wall. The whole area was covered with the wild smell of animals and uneasy roars of beasts. He remembers her colleagues in colorful dress consoling her for some reason unknown to him. The second night he woke up and saw a man with a big mustache shouting at her. She was crying, and when she saw Kamal awake, she came running and embraced him, sobbing uncontrollably. Her tears soaked his cheek. The next day, she took him back to Lovedale. She said she would come again after quitting the circus, pick him up, and go home, and she would never leave him again. She cried again and kissed his forehead when she left. After a few days, the nuns from the hostel took him in the hostel van to Trichy. They did not talk anything on the way. He saw his mother lying motionless on the floor in a tent. Flowers were placed on her body. The circus artists were all standing around, and there was a heavy silence except the untamed howls and the shrieks coming from the animal's enclosure. His mother's eyes were not fully closed. He stood in complete vain, unable to cry. Before him, there was only a vacuum and broken promises. After a while, a nun holding his shoulders calmly led him back to the van. It was years later he tried to reckon what must have happened to his mother that, and he never got an answer for it. Yeah, that's the end of the passage.
Thank you, Swapnil. Thank you, Gautam. All right, it's time for audience questions now. Manavi, you have a question. Would you want to ask it yourself, or do you want me to read it for you?
Anything is fine.
Go ahead, Manavi. You can ask the question yourself then. Hari sir.
For sure.
Firstly, thank you so much, Swapnil, for introducing me to this platform. This is the first event that I'm attending, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be a part of this discussion today. Also, congratulations, Mr. Hari. I am extremely excited to read your book. This sounds really fascinating. So, my question to you is that so when you write a fictional story, you have a lot of characters in the book, right? You have the protagonist, then you have the supporting characters to the story. And while writing the book, you tend to change your perception, and like you need to put yourself in the shoes of each character while they are in the picture, correct?
Yeah. Thank you for this.
So how do you do the justice to each of the character in the book by not forming a bias towards one character? Also, how do you balance this process of writing a fictional story and your own everyday life? Because when you write a story, I mean, you immerse your complete energy and time into writing that particular story. So does it happen that you tend to mix a little I mean, is there influence of any of the character in your everyday life as well, is my question.
Certainly, my characters come from my life. But can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. But these are skeletons. I try to put blood and flesh to the characters. It happens to almost all writers, what I feel, because no one can write from vacuum. You need a base. I feel writing is like a creeper. You need a base to creep on. But what you see outside is the creeper and its leaves and flowers. So it's not a question of doing justice to one character alone. There are various, figures and personalities around us. So we try to base every character, to real life. The base is the real life. So I feel I can do justice to all characters, and it's quite easy for me, in fact. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hari. That was a wonderfully made up answer. Absolutely loved listening to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Manavi, for your question. I think Arun sir wanted to ask you a question as well. Please go ahead, Arun sir. Arun sir, I think your voice is very, very low. You need to increase the volume.
I do one thing. Can you pass it on to somebody else? I will switch over my things so that it takes a little bit of time.
Microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah.
Mehboob sir also wanted to ask a question. Yeah, go ahead, Mehboob.
I just wanted to know what his subsequent projects are.
Abhay sir, thank you for the question. Actually, I told you I have been writing some short stories and poems, and all are stored in my. I mean, most of them are stored in my laptop. So I never thought of publishing early. In fact, now this project has given me some courage now. Now I will think about. I mean, going ahead with those stories. I will select the better ones, and I hopefully I will find a publisher soon.
It sounds a bit ironical, an army person saying, "I now have the courage." So, yeah, but writing is an altogether different domain. So we will look forward to your writing, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hari sir. We would love to read more of your stories. Arun,
Yeah. Can you hear me?
you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah. Congratulations, Mr. Hari.
Thank you.
I just want to hear from you that many of the stories from army background needs a little bit of some censorship because you are not supposed to reveal many things. To what an extent your professional life and to what an extent your personal life, when you are depicting in your book, need to censor for yourself. Self-censorship, I could say.
Sure.
Yeah.
We don't write about any confidential things. Okay. And that, in fact, that doesn't carry any value in literature also, in writing. What we write is the lie about the life going on around us, the unpredictability of individuals. We write about individuals, not about the institution. So that way, we not make any special effort to censor it, and I don't think it will harm our security in that case. Nothing about that. Nothing. I don't write anything technical things or these things. I write about the common, ordinary people, ordinary soldiers around me. Hello.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Hari sir. Anybody else who wants to ask a question? If there are no more audience questions, we'll go back to Swapnil. Swapnil, you can take it over from here.
Yes, thank you. So now it's the time to launch. I'm going to do the setup here in the Kindle format. So we're going to launch Kindle today. The physical copy is already ready. Okay. And I'm going to talk about the various links as well in some time. Okay, so this is the Monsoon Mischief. All the details here, all the information about the authors. Okay, I'm ready to release my book now. Okay, so this is where it'll take some time, few seconds maybe. Okay, so I've already uploaded the cover. I've already uploaded the content. Okay, I'm going to save and continue. And few more seconds. So while we are waiting for this Kindle upload to be ready, Mehboob sir had mentioned in the group today morning that we have a special contest. Okay, and we haven't spoken about that yet. Just wait for the launch. We will have more details on the contest. Okay. Okay, it's all done. So we are moving to the last step now. This is the last step. Okay, and I'm saying publish your Kindle book. Okay, and the book will be published. Okay, it's all published now. Congratulations. The book is published, and book will be available within 20. It says 72 hours, but it should be ready within 48 hours. Okay. Now coming back to the
So congratulations to both Hari sir and Swapnil.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And it's not exactly equivalent to giving birth to a human baby, but it's almost has that feel that you create like a baby. Congratulations again.
So books will be available. Okay, so already it's available on Amazon and Flipkart in India. Kindle we just launched. Okay, we have a page on SlideShare and Goodreads. So first chapter is available on SlideShare, so you can go and read the first chapter on SlideShare, and soon it will be available on Our Sound audiobook will be available. And of course, Amazon will do distribution worldwide, and we'll also have our own distribution in Singapore. So by next Sunday, everything will be up and running. So watch out the Hydra page. We will soon post all the links. Okay, all the links will be posted on Hydra web Facebook page. So if you haven't joined Facebook page of Hydra, please go back, like the page, and you'll be informed of all the great events that we conduct. Okay, so sir, before we wrap up, any closing comment from your side? Hari sir? Hari sir, can you hear me? We can't hear you.
I don't see him in the.
He got dropped, is it?
No, he's there. He's there. He's mute there. Yeah.
Hari sir, can you unmute yourself?
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, so I was saying that any last comment you want to make that your book is now launched?
Oh, thank you. I want to express my thanks. As my Buddha sir said, publishing the first book is a great occasion to cherish. And I was extremely lucky to come across you, Swapnilji, and Ega Publishers. And that eventually led me to association with Hydro, a great team of book enthusiasts. I have been with the team for a month now, and I have found the interactions that take place in the group highly informative and encouraging. I consider it's a great privilege to be with you all in the team, and I look forward for the future monthly programs.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you to all teams, all those who are available here, all those who, prayed for my success, wished me success. And I once again express my gratitude to all Hydro members for supporting me and gracing the occasion with a presence online. And one more thing, I am sure many members from Eagles, my own organization here, my friends are participating online. I have sent words also to my former colleagues from different cities, and I hope some of them are certainly also watching. I also thank my fellow members from ISA. There's another organization. Some of them are present here, I hope. I thank you one and all who joined me at this moment of happiness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hari sir. Now we come to the last part of our event. Okay, this is a small contest we want to run. So so you have seen the theme of the book launch was a soldier and his or her life and how they transition back into a civilian's life. So we are launching a contest for essays, stories, and poems. You can write on about if you have seen It Is Soldier, and you have experience of knowing someone who has transitioned back from their army life to the civilian life. So what are the things that go through it? So it can be a actual story, or you can imagine. You can write a fiction story as well. Okay, so we are opening to all Hydra and non-Hydra members. We have 4. We'll choose top 4 entries. 2 for Hydra members. So we have reserved 2 prizes for Hydra members, and each 4 entries. So 2 from Hydra and 2 from non-Hydra members would get Amazon voucher of 500 each. So, and top 25 entries that we get across, we will publish as a book. So that's what that's a surprise for everyone. Okay, so now you know. And if you want to participate in this contest, just go ahead and think of a story. So again, when you submit, you do mention like whether it's a fiction or non-fiction. You want to clearly mention the story, whether it's a fiction or non-fiction. Okay, so it can be fiction, it can be non-fiction, can be based on your friends' experience, your own experience, your imagination as well, your creativity as well. So go ahead, start writing, and the timeline is end of November. So you have 1.5 months, and by December is when we want to announce the winner and come up with the ebook. And of course, these details will also be posted on our Hydro and Eka Publishers Facebook page. And this is the email address, ekapresshyderabad@gmail.com, where you can submit your entries. So, Mehboob sir, that's all we had for the book launch. It's over to you, sir, now.
Right. So I think with the book launch and the thank you slide, the evening is officially over. And if somebody wants to give some comments, they could do. Otherwise, we can wrap it up here. Well done, all of you. I mean, starting with Hari sir, the moderator,